Hello, my name is Mahshid Helali from RISE Research Institute of Sweden. Today in this video I'm going to talk about model-based safety analysis and show how we have been going towards this mission in Bombardier within Testomat project. Stay with us to see how this journey was. Well, safety critical systems are widely used in many industries like railway, aerospace, medical and energy sectors. The failure in these systems has a great potential to cause catastrophic effects on human life or environment. Safety critical systems are mostly cyber-physical systems, and cyber-physical systems, or CPS, are integrations of computation, networking, and physical processes where physical and software components are deeply intertwined. Due to this big interplay between software components and physical process, of course, more rigorous development and verification approaches compared to what is common in the industry are required. Well, for this reason, it's expected that safety-critical systems pose a high level of dependability. But what is dependability? Dependability is the capability of avoiding failures that are more frequent and severe than what is acceptable. So dependability assessment should be carried out early in the design phase to avoid unacceptable cost in terms of loss of life or environmental damage. Dependability concept is not limited, but mainly includes the concepts of safety, reliability, and maintainability. By referring to model-based dependability analysis, we actually mean synthesizing dependability information from system models automatically. Let's see how the ideas have been going some way towards model-based dependability analysis. On this way towards early-stage model-based dependability analysis, we collaborated with a formal verification research group at Mahshid University, and then we did a joint work entitled Towards a Verification-Driven Iterative Development of Cyber-Physical System. In this work, we proposed a model-driven approach with a focus on guaranteeing safety using formal verification. In summary, the approach is an iterative development verification technique for safety-critical cyber-physical systems. The approach starts from a set of structured requirements and system architecture design, then the behavioral models, including a timed Rebecca model of the behavior of the system, are built, and that in the next step, properties of interest are derived from the structured requirements, and finally, model checking is used to formally verify the properties. Let's explain a bit more why Rebecca has been used in this approach. Actually, for modeling the behavior of a cyber-physical system, we need a modeling framework supporting logical timeline. Due to first, intrinsic asynchrony in distributed software systems, and also the need for the alignment of the timeline in the software system and the physical part of the CPS. Well, timed Rebecca is a timed version of Rebecca, which is designed for modeling and formal verification of distributed, concurrent, and event-driven asynchronous systems with timing constraints. Rebecca, together with a new language called lingua franca, is used to build formally verified CPS. The alignment of the logical and physical timelines are actually handled by lingua franca. And also regarding this short introduction, it's worth mentioning that Afra is an integrated environment for modeling and verifying Rebecca family designs and has been used in our approach for modeling and verifying our Rebecca code or our Rebecca model. The proposed approach carries all the benefits of a model-driven development approach. Meanwhile, safety verification in the approach helps in finding the concurrency bugs and timing issues. Let's have a bit detailed view of the approach. Actually, the approach starts from a small set of safety requirements elicited by SARE approach and presented in given, when, then syntax. Based on the safety requirements and the architecture document, we create the behavioral models. such as state diagrams and or sequence diagrams. Then we build a formally verifiable textual model, which we refer to as Rebecca code. After that, we use model checking to find the problems in the Rebecca code, and based on the results, we cycle back to correct the code or cycle further back to refine the requirements. This process continues until having a solid verified code which is consistent with the requirements. We will continue to build the next increments in the next iteration, actually by adding new features or new requirements. Let's show the applicability of the approach on a door controller case study from Bombardier transportation. As we said, the approach starts with a set of requirements plus a typical system architecture like component diagram of the system. As you see in this figure, there is a small set of requirements elicited by SARA approach based on considering a particular hazard in the system. The hazard shows that the passenger may fall out of the train. So, after considering the set of requirements plus the typical system architecture, in the next stage, we developed the behavioral models of the system. Actually, Rebecca is an actor-based modeling language. So we need to extract actors from the behavioral models and the component diagram. The actors are mainly extracted or identified from the component diagram, and then we use the behavioral models to show the interactions between the actors. Then a timed Rebecca code is developed, and after that the requirements are used to extract some assertions, and then the properties are verified based on checking the assertions by the included model checker in the AFRA. So as you see, so far we have developed a small Rebecca code which is consistent with the extracted assertions. We add the concept of platform, which has been already defined in the set of requirements. A platform is an area alongside the railway track providing the convenient access to the train. Okay, so the concept of platform is added to the code, and subsequently a set of relevant assertions are extracted from the requirements. Then model checking and the resulting counterexamples from the model checking lead to some updates on the code. And so this iterative process finally results in an updated code which includes the concept of platform and also is consistent with the set of the requirements. In the second iteration, actually we want to check the concurrency and timing issues. In this iteration, I'm at generally verifying the consequences of the interference between two events of open command triggered by the passenger and a log command triggered by the controller after the doors of the train are closed and the train is ready to leave. Actually, the model checking finds a live-log bug. This bug happens when the train wants to leave the station and a passenger wants to open the door by pressing the open button every 5 units of time. Then the train never reaches the running state. So the model checking, which has been done in this iteration, shows that a new requirement is required to be added to the set of the requirements to avoid these situations. And so consequently, for example, the requirement number 7 is added to the set of the requirements. The proposed approach is a lightweight, verification-driven, iterative process for model-driven development of safety-critical cyber-physical systems. It uses actor-based modeling and formal verification using timed Rebecca and the associated model checking tool called AFRA. Actually, actor-based style of modeling mitigates the issue of transformation from high-level specification to the inputs of a formal verification tool. Moreover, in order to bridge the remaining gap between high-level requirements and the actor model, we also leverage the structuring method based on given when then syntax to facilitate the transition from requirements to formal verification. Well, another aspect of model-based dependability analysis is fault and failure analysis. Actually, fault-free analysis called FTA and failure modes effects analysis called FMEA are two well-established techniques in dependability analysis. In this section, we are exploring some proper tools for automating FTA and FMEA processes in Bombardier. In this field, HipHops is an open source, well-suited tool for automating FTA and FMEA. In the next slides, we will explain some of the main features of HipHops, which are quite helpful for automating these processes in Bombardier. The analysis called FTA and failure modes and effects analysis (FMEA) are classical system analysis techniques which are widely used in reliability engineering. In Bombardier, these techniques are used for computing demand response time, called DRT, and failure detection reaction time, called FDRT. Actually, FTA is a deductive technique working from the top down. It assumes a system failure has occurred and then works backward to try to determine, to specify what possible combinations of events might have caused that failure. In contrast, FMEA is an inductive technique and works from the bottom up. It actually involves assuming a certain event or condition and then try to assess the effects of that initial event on the rest of the system. The fault tree synthesis in HipHops actually consists of three main phases. The first phase is annotating the system model with the failure data. The second one is synthesizing fault tree, and the last one is FMEA synthesize. Let's see how these phases are done in HipHops. Before going into the detail of phases, it's worth mentioning that the HipHops can work with MATLAB to analyze annotated Simulink files. It can parse those models and synthesize fault trees. It generates minimal cut sets, and also it's able to generate FMEA and produce fault trees. HipHops can also perform multi-objective optimization on the models to produce a set of solutions to choose alternative components and best sites for redundancy allocation. It's also important to know that FTA and the FMEA FMEA analysis are mainly done manually, and the process of performing these analyses can be laborious, in particular for large and complex systems. So in order to incorporate those analyses into the design phase, it's important to automate them in some way so that they can be carried out more quickly and efficiently. The first phase of fault tree synthesis is annotation phase. Actually, the basic topology information of the system is provided by the model, and then the model is required to be annotated. Annotation data is actually failure expression showing how deviations in the component outputs can be caused either by internal failures of that component or corresponding deviations in the output, in the inputs of that component. Then the second phase is a synthesize phase. In this phase, the tool examines how local failures of the components propagate through the model and cause failures at the outputs of the system. For each of the system's output, HipHops generates a local fault tree describing what can lead to that output. And then it combines the local fault trees into a single fault tree for each possible failure of the system output. Actually, it shows how malfunctions of that output are caused by combinations of other malfunctions or other failures of other components in the system. Phase is analysis phase. Actually, the produced fault trees represent the propagation of the failure logic through the system, but they can be large and complex in many cases. So, in the analysis phase, the tool is able to reduce the fault trees to their minimal cut sets. It means that it retains the relationship between the basic event and the top level system event, and it removes the intermediate propagation path. In general, two types of analysis, deduction of causes and induction of effects, are done in the analysis phase. And in the analysis phase, we can say that the FMEA shows the direct relationships between the component failures and system failures. It actually allows the designer to identify failure modes that contribute to multiple system failures. Actually, those common causes can represent especially vulnerable points in the system, and they can be very good candidates for redundancy or extra reliable components. So in this video, we presented a summary of two approaches that were proposed and studied in Testomat project for improving model-based safety analysis in Bombardier. Hope you liked it. Stay safe and